Hello, my name is Kay Voigt, and I'll be narrating your 2020 Hutchison Sculpture Stroll. I'm a member of the Public Arts Commission, which was formed to make recommendations to the City Council regarding public art within the city limits. The Sculpture Stroll was started in 2013. We have a favorite artist contest in which you can vote for your favorite new sculpture in the tour. Voting will be online at our website, www.hutchisonpublicarts.com, or you can vote with a paper ballot at City Hall. James Church, Keeper of Memories. The artist of Keeper of Memories is James Church. He has a degree in studio arts from Hamline University, and he lives in Minneapolis. This sculpture was created in the tradition of Lovelock sculptures and structures. Many people may have heard of the bridges where public have placed metal locks to memorialize some event or love in their lives, or as a memory keeper. The most famous bridge is in Paris. You may remember a news report that the locks had to be taken off because the bridge got too heavy. James Church's sculpture serves as a sculptural placeholder, a place for our best memories. He says, quote, "Locks or ribbons can be added to adorn the sculpture, signifying our hopes, our loves, and our cherished memories of those lost to us," unquote. The artist wishes for you to add a lock or a ribbon, or perhaps share a conversation to help in the realization that we all share similar thoughts and dreams. I think we could add a wooden heart, as we've seen many hearts in windows these days of COVID. James Church's sculpture is built of cast bronze, stainless steel, and cedar. And like many of the sculptures in this tour, part of it is made from found objects. The cedar was salvaged from a child's playset, so the memories of a happy childhood are already part of this sculpture. But the artist doesn't tell us all his secrets. The memory keeper is a woman, but we don't know for sure who she might portray, so we can decide. She's not frightening, though. I feel her demeanor is calm and thoughtful. Her skirt is a fitting apparel for a memory keeper. Over her head is a sculpture or a structure suggesting an awning or an umbrella, or maybe suggesting a canopy over a child's playground. Maybe it is just something to keep the memory safe within her. So feel free to add a lock or a ribbon in memory of, well, I'll leave you to answer that. The memory keeper can be seen near the historic depot and farmers market. Craig SNYDER, Twisted Sister. Craig SNYDER is a returning sculpture artist and has a very interesting educational background. He has an engineering degree from the U.S. Air Force Academy, a degree in ecological studies, and further education in welding and art studies. He lives in Plymouth. You might remember another piece of SNYDER's work called Exuberant, and you might also remember the big red dice that were placed on the corner across from the Dairy Queen. His piece of work in this art stroll is called Twisted Sister. Here his work is steel and has subtle coloration. It is a non-representational entry, and I think that means that you can decide what the work means. Sometimes the artist will give you hints at what he sees by the title, but this isn't always the case or the truth. Is this really a twisted sister? An interesting side note is that there is or was a heavy metal rock band called Twisted Sister, and its lead singer was Dee Snider. Dee spells his name with an I instead of a Y as in Snyder. So is this a tribute to the band? Is it really twisted? I think there might be a suggestion of a human form when viewing from one side. Craig says that he uses metals. It's just heat, beat, twist, bend, and render into a sculpture. The piece seems to suggest power and anger to me. You can think about it and look at the sculpture in Citizens Bank and Trust Park, located just south of the drive-thru. Citizens Bank and Trust sponsored this sculpture. Dale Lewis Old Text. This sculpture, called Old Text, is located behind the historic Episcopal Church on Washington Avenue. The artist is Dale Lewis, and he lives in Hastings, Minnesota. Dale Lewis left his career as an electrical technician and machinist to explore three-dimensional art. He began making mosaic sculptures, but was motivated to making sculptures that could be outdoors and could withstand the harsh winters here. So in 2010, he bought a welder and started his journey. He found metal gave him flexibility and often influenced his designs. He has a logo on his website with the words imagine, create, and recycle. And all three ideas are visible in this sculpture. He uses scrap metal and turns it into art. If we look closely at old texts, we can see many wrenches and pliers. We see a frayed wire for a tail and Harley-Davidson plaques on old Tex's body. His ears are scoops of some type or another, and I wonder if the horns are exhaust pipes. His goal is to be entertaining, fun, and recognizable. He has never felt the need to be profound or deep and to have his art make an impact. His main purpose, he says, is to make people smile. Do you think he is successful? Carmen Rialt, Fusion. This sculpture's title is Fusion, and it's located near the pedestrian bridge near Veterans Park, or just off Bluff Street, north of the river. The artist is Carmen Rialt from Moorhead, Minnesota, and she is active in the art scene in the Fargo-Moorhead area. She says that Fusion is a blend of herself and the Hindu artist Kali, and the piece depicts very feminine yet a powerful being. We notice the multiple arms. Carmen Rialt says that as a mother and an artist, she often wished she had multiple arms to accomplish even more tasks. We also notice her skirt. She says the paisley and lace designed in the skirt are beautiful but symbolize vulnerability and sensibility. We also saw a skirt in the other sculpture, the Keeper of Memories. I think both are feminine and beautiful in their own ways. Kimberly had another sculpture called Astral. That sculpture was also about feminine muses. And it was behind the Episcopal Church. This sculpture is made of steel and has a copper painted finish. Kimber Feibiger, Expert. We have two sculptures in Hutchinson by the artist Kimber Feibiger. Many of you have seen last year's entry, Expert, which is in Library Square. This whimsical Humpty Dumpty is reading a book and is a perfect choice for a statue behind the children's section of the library. The statue has been purchased with funds from the city and the Public Arts Commission, and now will be a permanent resident of Library Square. It was also voted the most popular sculpture in last year's tour. Kimber's other sculpture is called BEMUSED and is located in Riverside Park. While Expert is pure fantasy and whimsy, BEMUSED is a realistic sculpture of a woman seated. The artist says that women have to be brave and willing to listen to our inner muses and their inner voice. And you can actually see the muse in the form of a dragonfly just next to her head. Or is it a fairy? Thus the title, BEMUSED. She is holding a pencil or a pen and a sketch pad with an image of the sculpture is drawn. Is she showing us her creative process? Kimber works in clay, and then her works are cast in bronze. She has an art gallery in Minneapolis called Joan of Art. We can view BEMUSED in Riverside Park, just off the trail. If you look northwest of BEMUSED, you can see Jack, a sculpture by Heidi Hoy. Jack is playing his guitar forever by the bandstand. Victor Yepes, the biker. The biker sculpture is in a perfect place, just off the bike walking loose line trail on the northeast end of Riverside Park. If we look to the north of the biker, we can see Law Enforcement Park with a sculpture by Deb Zeller, which is a tribute to law enforcement officers. Deb is a Hutchinson native. When I look at the biker, I think he looks like he's just out for a lovely ride along the river. He is visible, very visible, due to his size, about 12 feet tall. His thin metal-shaped body has tube-shaped appendages with a top hat head. I think that oversized sculptures, like the spoon and cherry at the Walker Art Garden, amuse us and interest us. Victor says, quote, "Creating art is a gift that celebrates the connection between the world and myself," unquote. He believes that art is for everyone and uses recycled material, and sometimes uses these materials to suggest an ecological message. Here he uses welded metal. Victor's The Biker is another holdover from last year's stroll. He also had a sculpture called The Horse here in 2018. It was placed behind the Episcopal Church. Victor Yepes was born in Ecuador and lives in Minneapolis. Lawrence Starch, farmer. Lawrence Starch works in realistic figuration sculpture. Visitors to the farmers market last year will remember seeing this sculpture there. He is another holdover due to the coronavirus. But he has moved. He is now gazing at the river in West River Park. The pedestal he is on makes him more visible to trail and park users. Take a look at the pedestal. It is quite lovely. He is made of bronze and his overalls are tinted blue, and he's accompanied by his faithful dog and he's holding a shovel. Lawrence says he likes to create a moment in time and turns it into eternity. I think he was successful doing that, don't you? Although we might see a farmer with a seed corn hat. Lawrence lives in Loveland, Colorado. Kyle Foken, Song of the Flying Dutchman. This sculpture is located on the north side of Ridgewater College and is visible from Century Avenue. But you need to be a bit closer to appreciate the detail of this sculpture. The artist says he appreciates craftsmanship and pays attention to detail, and both qualities are evident in this sculpture. He likes using folk art and vintage toys in his work. He says, quote, "We depend on science to guide us, but art is the reason to go. We need a little mystery and danger in our lives to spur us on, to take chances, and achieve great things." Here, he uses a boat whose hull or base is a violin perched precariously on a crescent-shaped moon. Does he mean to imply we're flying to the moon on a Flying Dutchman? That mythical ship that has been seen by sailors for centuries or not seen? Movie viewers might also remember that the ship in the Pirates of the Caribbean was called the Flying Dutchman. And there is also an opera called The Flying Dutchman by Wagner. This sculpture was sponsored in partnership with Ridgewater College. Kyle Foken was educated at St. Cloud State University and he lives in Minneapolis. Judd Nelson, Slapshot. Judd Nelson's sculpture of the hockey player is made of hammered, forged, and painted steel. The player is poised to take a shot. The sculpture was going to be placed at the corner of Main Street and First Avenue, but wasn't placed there due to road construction. But now it soon will be moved to the Burridge Ice Arena. And it will be put there in honor of Thomas Buzz Burridge and the contributions of the Burridge Foundation to the city. Judd Nelson has had other sculptures in our stroll. He has had Letting Go and Lost in Space, which portrayed figures cut out of flattened steel, and both appear to be lost in space, looking at their cell phones. Judd lives in Wayzata. As we end our program, I would like to mention a new permanent sculpture in Veterans Park called Patriotic Spirit. It is a sculpture of a soldier that was created by John Camrath, Hutchinson native, in honor of his grandfather, Ray Camrath. We thank the Camrath family for their donation. Also, thanks to the Parks Department, who do such an excellent job in the installation of artworks and sometimes their upkeep. Special thanks to Randy Carter, who designs the pedestals for the smaller sculptures. Well, I hope you found a favorite sculpture and will vote either online at www. Hutchinson Public Arts, or you can use a People's Choice Award ballot from the Hutchinson Leader, or use a ballot provided at City Center. Ballots need to be brought to the City Center. Thank you.